Hey everybody, I'm Sierra,
And I'm Ben.
and welcome back to another episode of The Unsolved Couple, where every week Ben and I recap one of your original gateway drugs into true crime.
Unsolved Mysteries.
Hopefully everyone has survived the last 7 days.
Why would they not have survived the last?
Well, we're in the dark time, right? We're betwixt the Christmas day and the New Year's Day, right?
Yeah.
The dark times where
That's what it's called, the dark times?
well, you don't know what day of the week it is.
Because no one's working.
No one's working. You haven't put on pants that buttoned in days.
It's true.
You're full of cheese
Not true.
and too much chocolate or
Definitely true.
whatever candy. Yeah. And you're like, how am I ever going to function again in the world?
How did I get here?
How did we get here?
What day is it?
Yeah. So, hopefully everyone had an amazing holiday weekend, safe. Everyone got all the things on their Christmas wish list.
Did you get everything on your Christmas?
Yeah. Have you guys ever seen the commercials where people go out on Christmas morning and there's a car in the driveway with a giant red bow? You guys, it finally happened to me. There is a beautiful brand new Mercedes-Benz in the driveway with a giant red bow.
There is? I missed it.
You missed it. No, those commercials always crack me up though.
The December to Remember event?
Yeah, is that with Lexus?
I don't, maybe.
Lexus and Mercedes always do a ridiculous Christmas commercial. Yeah. So.
No, there's not a Mercedes or a Lexus in our driveway. I did not buy that for Sierra.
No, I am sure that it was a great Christmas.
It's yet to happen.
It is yet to happen in podcasting time frame, but you guys will all be listening to this post-Christmas, post-haste.
Post-haste.
Okay, Ben, you guys, fair warning, this episode is going to be very triggering for Ben. We're not talking about your normal triggering things for Ben. There's a lot of things on that list.
There is a lot of things on that list.
There's no UFOs in this story.
That's not a triggering thing for me.
Okay.
I wouldn't say that's a trigger.
No, I think sometimes you just get a little amped up how quickly people jump to UFO conclusion.
I find it entertaining and funny.
Okay.
But it's not triggering.
Yeah.
Psychics, they trigger me.
They trigger you, yeah.
A little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But this is my biggest trigger of all. Hands down.
Yep.
And what is it, Sierra?
A rewriting of history.
Revision history.
Revision history. Is that what they call it?
Revisionist history.
Yeah.
And I hate it.
I know you hate it. And I actually needed Ben to take this one and we can get into it later because I am the most gullible human being and I believe everyone at their word. And so the moment I start hearing some weird revisionist theory, I'm in hook, line, and sinker. It's not until like a while later when I can like my critical thinking kicks in and I'm like, oh, like I remember the first time I watched that very first episode of the Hitler series on History Channel. Because again,
Finding Hitler or
whatever it is. I think that was like the big first thing, like revisionist history that I ever kind of got swept into.
Yeah.
But also it was on the History Channel. So my assumption with the History Channel before like Ancient Aliens and the kind of weird train that they've gone down was that they did their due diligence.
They didn't.
Because they have some amazing the Ken Burns documentaries, actually I think that's PBS, but some of the documentaries from History Channel
and a lot of them
are remarkable. And so when I first saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, there must be something incredible to this. And then I'm watching it and I'm like, this is cuckoo nut.
Yeah. So, but we grew up as kids with the History Channel being history.
Yeah.
Them telling real history stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And somewhere along the way, They jumped off that bandwagon and went into reality TV,
Conspiracy theories,
conspiracies, all that, which
UFO, Bigfoot, which,
so they're not history
yeah.
anymore. And so they never told us they were doing that. They just did it under the guise of history.
Uh-huh.
And I think a lot of people jumped on this bandwagon. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I get, anyways. Here's the thing. I'm trying to make this declaration. I will tell this story without my thoughts the way Unsolved Mysteries tells it.
Okay.
And then after, I will give my update
Okay.
and research.
Okay.
So I will try to keep it simple for everybody
Fair.
and myself, because I need to keep it simple.
Okay. Well, I will start us off today. We are recapping season 4, episode 2. And before we get on that gravy train, don't forget to follow the show wherever you're listening. And if you enjoy what we're doing, please take a moment to leave us a 5-star review. I always post all of our reviews. I've actually thought about starting to read some of our reviews because people are fun when they write them. So leave a 5-star review if it's fun and cheeky. Or has some sort of inside joke in it, I'll start reading them here on the pod out loud. It helps people find us in the algorithm since we're competing with people like, I don't know, Candace Owens and who's the other big podcasters right now. We're competing with the top notch people. Who else are the big? I just know she's like trending right now.
She's political. We're not political.
I know.
We are a education.
Mel something. I think she's got a big one. What's his name? What's the guy? The crazy guy from Fear Factor.
Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan. Yeah. I mean, we're competing with giant podcasts like that. And if you want to help the little guy, leave us a 5-star review. It helps push us forward to the recommended page from other people who like podcasts like you do. The other thing you guys can do to support the show is in the show notes down below is a buy me a coffee link. If you would like to send that, we are working on, hopefully by the end of January or February, we will have a new podcasting mini studio. And so we're going to be bringing you lots of new things in the year of our Lord 2026. Okay. Ben, are you ready for a lost love? Because these seem to be everywhere lately.
Okay.
I've almost to the point where I think lost love is the most done segment in Unsolved Mysteries. We have them more than we have almost anything else.
There's a part of me, though, as we know, they cut out a lot.
Yeah.
Did they cut out and then just leave every lost love in there?
Maybe the person at whoever bought the rights for this, Film Rise, maybe they loved the Lost Love series.
I don't know. But this lost love is so weird.
It is weird. At first, I didn't think it was a lost love. I had to go back and check what the title or the headline of it was.
It was terrible. And the way it was told.
Yeah.
It was so confusing.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
I mean, they don't even drop that this guy was adopted until halfway through.
Spoiler alert, Ben.
Okay. Seriously?
You guys, I apologize for
it's halfway in
animal behavior from Benjamin. Unprofessional podcasting.
I am unprofessional. Yes. But it's halfway through the segment before they drop that critical information.
You are correct. You're already fired. I know, you guys. Ben is going to be in rare form tonight.
All right. I will shut my mouth.
All right. James Ernest. For years, James, aka Jim, had been haunted by the weird encounter of having like some doppelganger is what we would call them. Yeah, what we'd call them nowadays. A man that looks and talks exactly like him, with friends and family mistaking the man for Jim. And this seemed to be everywhere, or at least everywhere Jim isn't. One bizarre encounter happened at Jim's brother-in-law, Rick Holder, at a company softball game in Rockford, Illinois. So pause. I will say this. he's having these weird interactions by people from his family coming to him and saying, "Hey, why were you this at this place?" So his brother-in-law is going up to bat at a company softball game, and he looks up, and the man pitching, he believes is his brother-in-law. Pause. What would you do? My brother lives in Utah. If you were at a company event and you think that you're going up to the bat and my brother
Here's the thing.
is at the pitcher's mound.
Okay, if it's a company event,
Mm-hmm.
you're playing another company.
That's okay. Yes, that was my other thing.
So wouldn't you know where your brother-in-law works? Here's the thing. I know where your brother works.
Yeah.
He knows where I work.
Yeah.
If he from his company was going up against Home Depot
Yeah.
and I'm at the pitcher's mound,
Yeah.
he would say, my brother-in-law doesn't work for Home Depot.
Yeah.
Spoiler, I don't work for Home Depot. So I don't know.
Yeah. That's exactly. And then wouldn't you think post baseball game or even after that inning, is there a halftime? Yeah. Is, is there a break? No, there's not. Seventh inning stretch? Is there intermission? What's it called? Is there a break in the middle of a baseball game? Does it go the whole time?
Yes.
Okay. So you wouldn't get a chance to do it in the middle of the game. But post game, wouldn't you run over to
Yes.
the box and be like, Doug, what are you doing
What's going
here?
on?
Okay. Well, Rick didn't do that.
He said he tried to talk to him.
He tried to talk to him while he was at the pitcher's mound in the middle of a game. And he said that it was weird
I thought he
because
tried
his
to talk to
own
him.
brother-in-law didn't acknowledge him.
Maybe they weren't that close. I don't know.
Not. So yeah, Rick calls out to him at the pitcher's mound, receives no response. Oh, after the game, he goes up and shakes the man's hand. However, this guy seems confused and just walks away.
That's what you're like, bro.
Yeah.
Hey, we're
What?
brothers.
Yeah. 5 years later, and just a few miles away, Jim's father, Ernie, is leaving a doctor's appointment when he looks down in the parking lot and thinks he sees his own son. Ernie calls his by name, Jim, Jim, waves at him. The man turns around, makes eye contact, gives him a weird look, gives him no response, and gets in the car and just leaves. And again, of course, Jim later confirmed that he had not been at that doctor's office that day. So Jim then also connects some dots. In his childhood, he grew up in Rockford, Illinois, where he had been given up by birth by his mother, but he had no idea who she was. He had been loved by his adopted family, and his family life was happy and uneventful. However, after hearing the stories from Rick and Ernie, Jim remembers a strange incident that happened to him when he was a young boy. While visiting his grandparents in Rochelle, Illinois, that's guaranteed not even how you pronounce it, Rochelle, Illinois, he was approached by a group of neighborhood kids who called him by the name Billy and asked him to play basketball with him. Jim told the other kids that his name wasn't Billy, and they were confused. So the kids just kind of walk away from each other and never really thought about it again until this strange bout of doppelganger happens to him as he's an adult. So after high school, he had joined the Army, served a tour in Vietnam, and in 1978, he married a girl named Cindy, and they settled near Rockford and had 2 children. However, while in town, people Jim did not recognize would normally come up to him on a regular basis and greet him in an unusually overly friendly way, as if they had known him. He brushed these experiences off, believing that he had just forgotten that he had met these people at some point. However, he had troubles explaining the sightings of himself in places he had never been to. like Christmas Day 1991, a strange encounter at a local mini mart just 5 blocks from Jim's house. The cashier served a customer who she believed was Jim. She recalled that he walked and talked and even had similar mannerisms. Several minutes later, Jim and his wife Cindy walk in. The lady at the cash register asked Jim, "Oh, did you forget something?" And he was like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "You were just in here." And he's like, "No, this is the first time I've been in here today." She, to the point, thinks that he's like playing a Christmas Day joke on her or something. And she turns to his wife and is like, "He's kidding, right?" She's like, "No, he's been home all day. This is the first time we've even left the house."
Doppelganger.
Yeah. 3 weeks later, Cindy is visiting Jim's grandparents when she mentioned the weird encounter that they had had on Christmas Day. And this is when the reenactment actor gets an Oscar for her performance.
I did.
The grandma? Okay, so
Oh,
I'm
she
going to set
walks.
the scene. Yep.
She walks.
I'm going to set the scene for you guys. We're in a home straight out of 1970s. We've got the wallpaper. Everything is a shade of orange or brown and very dated. It looks almost as if you walked into a Cracker Barrel. Okay?
Cracker.
I don't I used to like Cracker Barrel. Their menu, last time we went, the food wasn't that good.
Yeah. It's like that they have dumplings.
Yeah, I do like their dumplings too. Okay,
It's hard to find dumplings anywhere.
these two are in the kitchen. This is the wife and her husband's grandma.
Yep.
And she's got her back to her grandmother-in-law, and she's telling her about this weird encounter. And then we get this slow pan of this elderly woman stopping what she's doing in the kitchen. She's got like a little dish rag or something.
Folding dish rags or something.
And she slowly looks off into the distance and brings her hand to her heart.
Doesn't she walk out?
And she puts her hand up on the frame of the door as if maybe just for a second she might faint. And slowly walks out of the kitchen into the dining room where she desperately fondles around looking for a chair to sit down because she's still just like dazed and confused. And this is at that point when her granddaughter-in-law notices that the woman has left the room. And at this age, if a woman is clutching her chest and seeking a chair to sit down, I'm gonna we need to call 911?
We might need medical attention.
We might need medical attention, but instead, she has a confession to make for her. So, did you think I did that scene fairly well?
Very well.
Very well.
Very good job.
It was beautifully done. Thank you. So she mentioned that Jim's father, Ernie, had died previously and had told Sophie, what is with all these family secrets, by the way? These last two lost loves I've had to tell are crazy.
Well, the story you tell later's got a secret too.
Everyone's got secrets.
Everyone's got secrets they're hiding back in the day, man.
And I guess you could used to be able to do that.
You could. You could hide it.
Yeah. It makes you really wonder with these new ancestry trees, how many.
That and social media.
Yeah. Revealed to that day that not only was Jim adopted, which Jim knew, was that he also had a twin brother. So his family knew about this.
Yeah.
Ernie learned about the twin while preparing to adopt Jim. He did not like keeping secrets, but figured that it would be better that way because Jim would just never know. And seems like a healthy choice for many of reasons, I'm sure. Man, that was a different time back then where you just buried secrets and then you just did not talk about things.
You took them to your grave.
Yeah,
man.
Exactly. So, of course, Jim is excited to learn that he indeed does actually have a twin brother and that maybe these odd sightings are not so much a doppelganger as they are. He has a twin brother that has been orbiting each other quite closely for a long time.
Everyone has seen him and Jim, except for Jim.
Except for Jim. Yeah. So,
Everybody else
but
in their
people have also
life.
mistaken Jim as this other
That's what
guy.
I'm saying. Everyone in Jim's life is seeing his brother, but
Mhm.
Jim never sees
Never
his
sees
brother.
him. So he begins searching for his birth family. He obtains a family history from an adoption agency. However, due to secrecy laws at the time or closed adoption laws at the time, the documents didn't mention Jim's birth mother. However, it mentioned something weird about a nephew that had drowned at the age of 14. Jim, pre internet sleuth, does his due diligence here. So he goes to the local library with the microfilms where going through newspapers, right? And finds the article because that would have made news about the boy that drowned.
Finds his name.
Gets the family name from that, and then goes to the phone book. Back in the day when you used to be able to look people up by their last name, can't do that anymore.
Well, it was a very distinct name.
Yes, it's like harmonious or something. Harmonious.
I don't
Yeah.
know what it was. I didn't write it down, but it was a very
Yeah.
distinct name.
And
It's
so
not like it was Smith.
no, he locates a woman who lived only 20 miles away with that same last name, who goes and knocks on her door. Turns out her name's Myrtle. She's been 92 since the day she was born. And she identifies herself actually as Jim's aunt. And the reason she knows that is she says, like, you look just like my brother or something. She makes a comment like, you look like we're related. So it turns out that his birth mother, Hazel, she had a picture of her. So he sees a photo of his mom for the first time and learned that she'd actually passed away 3 years earlier. He also learned that for several years, Hazel had cut herself off from the family and they knew nothing about her life in that time frame where she wasn't really involved in the family. And so they had never heard of these twin boys before. However, Myrtle did know that Hazel had given birth to a daughter born at St. Anthony's Hospital in October or November of 1945. So Jim takes that information and goes to his mother's family plot, finds out her maiden name, eventually realizes that she did later in life marry a man. Both of them are now deceased. So he's found everyone except for his siblings.
His sibling.
Yeah. And still hopes to find his half sister and potentially his twin brother. And that's kind of where Unsolved Mystery leaves us. Very confusing story, but there is a man with mistaken identity for most of his life.
Really, the crux of the matter is a man been adopted. He's looking for his brother and his twin
Brother
and his sister.
and his half sister. Yeah.
That's it. I mean, that's really what the story is.
Yeah.
Okay. Give us an update.
Kind of unresolved. I know. So after the broadcast, Jim tried to access his adoption files, and a sympathetic judge did agree to contact his biological half sister and tell them of his search. 47-year-old Judy Sullivan learned for the first time that she actually even had a brother.
No idea.
No, this mom, Hazel, did not seem to she also kept a lot of secrets, apparently.
Clearly.
Yeah. And the two were reunited the next day after she found out.
Okay.
Sadly, though, Jim never got to meet any potential twin because he died a year later in 1994. So the man interviewed passed away literally like a year after.
He wasn't very old.
No, he wasn't. So only a year after reuniting with his sister Judy, he passed away.
That's sad.
Judy and Jim's other family members were still searching for the twin. He was born at the Salvation Army Hospital in Crook County, Illinois on March 29th, 1947. He was adopted by a family in Rochelle, Illinois, and his first name may have been Billy. According to Jim's son, it is believed that the twin may not want to be contacted with the family. However, that has not been confirmed by any sources. To date, I looked. No one has ever come forward claiming to know this guy.
Huh?
Which to me, in that small of a town and the fact that they lived potentially in such close proximity and had multiple like crossover encounters, I'm going to guess this guy, Billy, might have even been aware of this story and did not want.
Yeah, maybe he just wants to leave the past in the past.
Yeah.
I can understand that.
Yeah. So kind of a sad, I mean, really sad that,
Well, sadly, he passed away.
and that he literally had these like serendipitous, like so close interaction, like
But I will say,
crossovers, and
they
then
interviewed
never got to connect.
they interviewed Jim. He seems happy.
Mhm.
He went on. He had a family, and he speaks very highly of his upbringing.
Yes.
So, I mean, at least I'm trying to find a positive on here.
Yeah.
A positive. It's too bad. It's a sad story. Clearly, he passed away at a young age. And
People and their family secrets.
yeah, yeah. And your other story's got to. I didn't do any research on that. I hope you got something good for us.
I have a theory that is going to blow your mind that I made up myself.
It's not fact though.
No, but I would
But
but I would love it to be fact.
All right.
Okay.
I like where we're going with that.
Okay. All right. Ben, what do you got for us?
Oh dear. All right, hold on. Let me get my notes.
Okay, while Ben's doing that, I just want to remind everybody, make sure you're following us on social media. I have a lot of fun over on Instagram, and every once in a while, Ben pops his head into a video. Unsolved Couple Pod on Instagram, and Tick of the Talk. Tickety Talk.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Are you ready for this story?
Yes.
All right, everyone. We've been teasing this, but this is anticlimactic. So, this is the story of the assassination of Abraham Lincoln by who's here?
John Wilkes Booth.
John Wilkes Booth. That.
We've been to the theater.
I've been to Ford's Theater.
I got a giant penny there.
Yes, we got 2.
I know. I was really excited about it.
Yeah, it is really cool.
Mhm.
It's cool to see that history, not cool what happened.
Yeah, we literally spent 12 hours in DC because we took a red eye. Ben had an event there, and we had literally
a day to see some
half
stuff.
it. Yeah, while
We got
on
to see
no sleep.
the street.
Yeah,
where Abraham Lincoln actually passed away. Anyways, so Robert Stack comes in, tells us that history might not be what it seems. The official account of history is that in April 1865, the Civil Wars just ended, and Abraham Lincoln was
assassinated
on April 14th
at the theater
at Ford's Theater. And there was a 12-day manhunt to catch John Wilkes Booth.
Do you remember what John Wilkes Booth said before he shot him?
We actually don't know.
Oh, I thought there was.
There.
Oh.
So the account that most people to say is he said six semperis tyrannis.
Yeah.
Which is, anyways. But
what does that stand for? Do you know?
It's I do know, but thinking off the top of my head, it's something. It's like tyranny, something over.
Isn't it death to tyranny over tyrants, or I can't remember.
Something like that. It's in that ballpark. Because you put me on the spot, I can't think of it. So that's what he said he saw. He said, but no actual witness in the theater
accounts for that.
Well, no one can officially say what he actually said. There's multiple different accounts. We don't know for sure.
Got it. But that's not what we're
debating here.
Okay.
12-day manhunt. He was killed at Garrett's farm on April 22nd. So 12-day manhunt, killed there. Okay.
Okay.
But guess what? We have people that are now coming forward and saying,
maybe it didn't happen that way.
The man killed at Garrett's farm is not John Wilkes Booth. And that he continued to live for another 30-something years under an assumed name.
Okay.
I wrote some of this down.
You said you were going to tell it exactly like.
I know.
Okay. All right.
I wrote some of this down.
Okay.
So that's what Robert Stack, and then he comes in, he's in this room, and he says, the Encyclopedia Britannica states the ID of the man in the barn equivocally was John Wilkes Booth at the time. Those who question the official account believe that in the confusion following the Civil War, critical evidence may have been mistakenly recorded or covered up. So now we have a conspiracy.
I do love a good conspiracy.
So, and I have a lot of quotes from the people on here. I wrote that down because I think it's important that we know the characters that are bringing forth this story
Okie dokie.
and what we're about to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So, Nate Orloki, he's a historian and a researcher. He disputes the government's claim. He says there is tremendous physical evidence that proved beyond a doubt that John Wilkes Booth, in reality, was not killed by the federal government officers as they claimed. In fact, he lived until January 13th, 1903, when he died in Enid, Oklahoma. Okay. That's what this guy, he comes on and that's his claim. That's what we're claiming here. That
Okay.
he continued to live till 1903. Even though many co-conspirators were captured, several were hanged, several were put in jail for life. So, yeah. All right. Um, they tell us that comes in and says, even right after there were some senators in that said, hey, listen, we don't think that John Wilkes Booth was killed because technically they didn't want to pay out the $100,000 bounty fee because they were saying, hey, listen,
Dude,
what
100
evidence?
grand adjusted for inflation has got to be insane.
Yeah. So, Dr. Arthur Chitty, he's a researcher and an author, and Nate Orloki. They independently studied all the research and came to the same conclusion that John Wilkes Booth was not the one that died. So, Dr. Arthur Chitty says the most persuasive evidence to me, Garris Barnes, the man in the barn was not Booth, is in fact that his friend, David E. Harold, came out of the barn and the first thing he said was, the man in there is not Booth. So, according to Arthur Chitty,
Okay.
he says that so they cornered these guys in the Garrett barn. Two were in there. They tell them to come out. Harold comes out with his hands up. And according to Chitty, he says there's something out there that he says, hey, he came out and said the man in there is not. We do get a man by the name of James Hall, sorry. And he's like, no, that's not true. I liked that they brought in
I
a
was to say they
historian.
did bring in some counterpoints.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So James Hall says Harold referred to Booth and that he gave this testimony, a written testimony, 36 hours after he was captured. He says Harold referred to Booth 10 times by name when he was discussing what went on in the barn while it was being surrounded by soldiers. To me, that's conclusive. I can't see where they get the idea that he comes running out and says it's not Booth. So according to this historian, he's like, I don't know where they got that information. I have no.
He has not seen that account.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these guys are bringing forth that that's not Booth. Their first thing they bring forth is the guy came out and said, that's not Booth. Okay.
Okay.
So, but Dr. Chitty comes back and says, listen, Harold changed his story. He was in fear for his life. He'd been incarcerated with a canvas bag over his head and with just a little hole and that he was fed through. So he was under terrible emotional strain to pretty much say that that was Booth. So they just believed that this guy was pressured to say that that was Booth.
Okay.
Okay. So the other evidence they bring forth that that wasn't Booth was by the name of, sorry, I'm trying, because this is confusing.
Mm-hmm.
They tell us, these two guys tell us that, the widow of a Lieutenant William C. Allen.
So this is hearsay at this point then.
Yeah. So the widow says, and this was like in 1937, something like that. I don't have the exact date on here, but she says years later, after her husband has passed. I know this is going to be confusing. Lieutenant William C. Allen was there that day. Okay. And she says her husband had told her that he saw the man at Garrett Farm who had been killed, and the man had red hair. and that the government knew that that man was not Booth. So supposedly he told his widow that.
His wife that before she became a widow. Yeah.
Yes, he told his wife that. And she then came forth 50, 60 years later and said, this is what my husband said, that that man wasn't him because he didn't look like him. And
Because Booth had like very like
jet black hair.
black hair, very distinct hair.
Yeah. He had a very distinct jet black
He
hair.
also
He was young.
said that he was at the time recognized as like one of the most like good looking men because
Well, he was an actor. He was
an
very
actor.
well known.
Yeah.
I mean, he was very recognizable. At that time, he was considered very handsome, very recognizable.
I mean, I do love a man with a beard and dark hair and dark eyes. Something about it.
I don't want to be compared to this guy. So, all right. Then our two historian guys tell us of another account. I don't know where they get this account. They don't tell us, but
that is hard. They don't give there's no sources.
There's sources on this.
Yeah.
They say 2 Union soldiers who knew Booth. How they knew him, I don't know, but supposedly they knew him from 1963.
Okay.
Joseph Zisglin and Wilson Kenzie. They supported the red hair claim because they said that they heard it and it was the morning of, and in the reenactment, he comes up, it's like, they got Booth, they killed him, but it's not him. It's not him. They're saying it's him, but it's not him. And he was high up in the military. So he was they tell us he was free to kind of go wherever he wanted. So him and these two, his other soldier who knew him, ride off to the Garrett farm and they see him there and they say, that's not him. And the other military guy who's in charge says, you will not talk about this. Again, this is the reenactment. Take this for what the reenactment is.
Uh-huh.
He says, you will not tell about this.
But I'm going to need you to tell it in like old-timey speak.
No, I'm not going to do that. You will not speak about this to anyone. Do you understand? And these two guys, these historians are telling us, listen, this was a kept secret. They knew it wasn't him, but they were telling all of them that they had to keep this secret.
Ye shall henceforth keep it a secret.
And Kenzie, who was one of the soldiers, in 1922, when he was 77 years old, so what's that, 57 years later, signed a sworn affidavit. And he wrote, as I wrote up, Joe Ziglin called, come here, Sergeant. This ain't John Wilkes Booth at all. I could see the color of his hair. I knew at once it wasn't he, and he had no injured leg. So, okay.
Okay.
All right. But again, like I said, they were warned, don't talk about that. You're not allowed to talk about that. So then they tell us the other evidence they have that wasn't John Wilkes Booth was from Dr. John F. May. Okay. He was a surgeon in Washington, D.C., and he had previously removed a tumor from Booth's neck, from the back of his neck. And that, I did research on that. That was in 1963. So 2 years prior. And
the fact that he even lived through that is remarkable because old time surgery was not good surgery.
So, yeah. So, Robert Stack tells us, and these guys tell us that John F. May was the one that did the autopsy on him, and that he even stated, this is not how I remember him. He has sandy hair and he's freckled. This is not the John Wilkes Booth I know, but he did have a scar on the back of his neck, which is where he would have performed the incision. Says, and Dr. Chitty, who's one of the, historians telling us that this didn't happen, he says that they told him, this better be Booth. And Dr. John May, who did the autopsy, supposedly says, I'm sure that this is Booth, even though it doesn't look like Booth, but this is certainly Booth.
Booth, yeah. I will say that is a weird Okay, you're looking at me like you've got
No,
more information. That it is weird to me that he wrote it in this very like wink, wink, or
hey,
like
this doesn't look like him, but
I'm gonna say that it is anyways.
and I was Robert Stack tells us that this doctor supposedly in the early 1900s came out and clarified that, hey, that was Booth.
Yeah.
But these guys don't believe that. They think that doctor was just covering up. Um, Dane or Nate Orlowski, who's the other historian, says, had the government really believed that that body was Booth, they would have taken pictures, they would have done all kinds of stuff. But he pretty much accuses the government. He says they intentionally knew that wasn't Booth and they were covering it up. He says that.
Yeah, that's a pretty bold claim.
Yeah. So, um, anyways, so that's kind of their theory. And their theory runs, this is the other reason why they don't think that John Wilkes Booth was the man killed. That there was a book that came out by Phineas Bates. He published a book in 1907 called The Escape and Suicide of John Wilkes Booth. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Bates tells a story that a man by the name of John St. Helen confessed to him in 1877. So technically 12 years after the assassination. So this man, John St. Helens, was very sick. This lawyer, he's an attorney, not a doctor, he's an attorney. He comes in and he's talking to John St. Helens, and who this lawyer's name is Phineas Bates. John St. Helens tells Phineas Bates, listen, I need to confess. I'm not John St. Helen. I'm John Wilkes Booth. And of course, Phineas Bates doesn't believe him. And so he tells him, listen, I know you're not going to believe me, but he then proceeds to tell him everything that happened that night. And that supposedly he said he had been given a password to cross the bridge out of DC. And the password was TB Road. Okay. So, and this is going to get confusing, but he says that he got in this password TB Road. And I'm going to botch saying this because what happened was, and they tell us in Unsolved Mysteries, is Bates tells the story that this guy said, hey, he crossed the bridge, that the Union soldiers had been told by someone above them that if someone comes through and says he has a password called TB Road, let him through. And after Bates put that story out there to the world in his book, a man by the name of Frederick Demond, who was a guard that night, wrote a letter.
He demanded it.
He wrote a letter to Bates on May 31st, 1916, stating, hey, yeah, I was a guard there, and someone came by and told us if that happened, that someone gave us that password. So he was corroborating his story, but he was corroborating it in 1916 after Bates put that story out.
Okay.
Then we get that historian back, James Hall,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, listen, Sergeant Cobb was the guy in charge at that bridge that night. He never says that. And he testified in court and on affidavit that that never happened. So take that for what it is.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, you have two different theories here. But anyways, Bates writes this book, says this guy confessed, says he gave him a bunch of details about that night that no one could know but Booth. That's the only detail they tell us in this story. He just says that. Then John St. Helens went to Oklahoma. They end up, so what happens is the guy gets better.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't die. So they end up separating, going their separate ways. John St. Helen, who was claiming to be John Wilkes Booth, goes to Oklahoma and commits suicide in a hotel.
Ooh.
Yeah. Phineas Bates finds out about it, goes down there and says, hey, listen, I think this guy might be John Wilkes Booth. He told me about it 24 years ago.
Yeah.
And he preserves the body. He embalms it, and then he mummifies the body. And in 1931, 6 Chicago physicians examined the mummified body, and they found a scarred right eyebrow, a crushed right thumb, and a broken left leg. All 3 injuries matched known injuries of John Wilkes Booth.
Okay.
So is the mummified body, is that guy who lived for another 30-something years?
Took on a new identity, took his own life. Is that John Wilkes Booth?
The 2 historians believe he is.
Okay.
The rest of the world, most of the rest of the historian world do not.
Do not. Okay.
So Robert Stack comes back, tells us, hey, what really happened that night?
Mm-hmm.
Time will tell. It's been a mystery for 120-something years. Do we know? I don't know. Does history need to be rewritten again?
Well, we just learned in my last story, a lot of people kept a lot of secrets.
So that's where the Unsolved Mysteries
Okay.
leaves us.
Where are we today? What is the update on this
All right.
one?
I will give you the update that Unsolved Mysteries kind of puts out there
Yeah.
real quick. Okay. So the Smithsonian Institute proposed exhuming the body at Garrett Farm because that's technically where John Wilkes Booth eventually gets buried in the family farm
Mm-hmm.
on an unmarked grave. He still does have, or at that time had living relatives. They even said, sure, you can exhume it. But a state court said, no, we're not going to do that. And so he wasn't. They were going to.
That doesn't help with the conspiracy theory at all.
It doesn't. But I did read about that.
Mm-hmm.
The reason is to exhume a body, you have to prove that there might be true evidence. And there really wasn't evidence brought forth that this is not John Wilkes Booth, according to the judge. That's why he didn't okay the exhume.
Okay.
Okay. So that's Unsolved Mystery story.
Okay.
This story is a load of crock.
Okay.
It's absolutely, completely horrible. And there are so many falsehoods.
Okay.
First, let me start with Phineas Bates.
Okay.
He mummified a body and took it around to circus shows.
Oh,
Paid to
like
see
a
this
very,
body.
what is that? BD Barnum or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. Cause that was all like that. That was a thing at that point. Yeah.
People were paying to go see the body of John Wilkes Booth.
Okay.
Tell me how credible that is.
Yeah.
And he didn't get the body for a long time. And then he mummifies a body.
And claims it's something that he can profit off of.
And then he takes it around for years and makes people pay to go in and see it.
So there is a podcast, one of my favorites, an old timey podcast. It's a husband and wife. I don't know if this is one of their bonus up or not, but they do an entire series on B.T. Barnum. And that whole world of like traveling shows, like pre-circus sort of things, was insane.
Yes.
The things that people would do and people would pay to go see, and how exploitative it was, and how things were sold as fact when they were
1910s, the 1920s.
Yeah, it was. I highly recommend anyone go listen to that series because it was so well told, especially because I think like that movie, the Showman movie or whatever, The Greatest Showman, makes it all seem so glorified. Yeah, so I'm not surprised to hear that someone saw opportunity. And so to me, then that you have no credibility.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
That's my first one.
Okay.
And take that for what it is. Okay. People. Whatever.
Okay.
Okay. But here's the facts. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
John Wilkes Booth was shot around 4 a.m. at the Garrett Farm.
Okay.
He lived till 7 in the morning. He didn't just die.
Okay.
Around 7:15, he died. By 8 a.m., he had been sewn up and enclosed in a sack, put on a wagon, and ridden and put on a ship. So where these two guys come in and are able to identify and see the whole body, they literally had a 30-minute
Because
window.
yeah, because they make it seem as if it was
And
like the following.
for 3 hours,
Yeah.
he's sitting on the porch of the Garrett farm talking to him. And before he died, says, "Tell my mother I died for my country."
Yeah.
Okay. He had papers on him, the diary of John Wilkes Booth
Yeah.
with his writings. These two historians, they tell the story that the way he escaped, I'm sorry, I, I missed this in my notes. I apologize. They say the reason that guy had the papers on him is because John Wilkes Booth was being smuggled out on a carriage under a blanket. And they thought soldiers were coming. He jumped out and hid in the woods for days. And in that time, he dropped his papers. He sent another man to go get his papers. And the man that got those papers was the man that was trapped
Got
in
it.
that.
Okay.
Okay. So but they tell the story that he just was shot and killed. That's not true.
Mm-hmm.
They say, according to them, this doctor's the only man that identified him. That's not true either. John Frederick May did identify him, said it was him. They think he was wishy-washy on it. Okay? A clerk at the National Hotel, which he had checked in at, identified him. You know how he identified him? And everyone knew. Guess what John Wilkes Booth had? A tattoo of JWB on his hand. And he had it since childhood. Guess what the dead body had? A tattoo of JWB on his hand.
Yeah.
He was identified that way.
Okay. That's
A
pretty.
photographer, Alex Gardner, who had photographed Booth multiple times, positively identified. So Booth gets taken to the ship. I'm trying to find the name of the ship. I have it here somewhere. So I got a ton of notes.
You guys, Ben was literally continuing to research this because
Well, every time I would think of something else of that. I can't find the exact ship he was on. I will be able to when I pull it up here. And then they brought in multiple people that knew Booth and they identified him.
Yeah.
So multiple friends knew him. His dentist, who had just days before done fillings on Booth, gold fillings, came in and identified him. Plus, then they opened his mouth and he said, "Yeah, I put that filling there. That's my filling. That's my filling. I did that work days before."
Okay.
He identifies him. Guess who did not do the autopsy? Oh, yeah. John Frederick May didn't do the autopsy. Hold on. I'm pulling up my notes on this one. Where did it? Surgeon General Joseph K. Barnes, Joseph Haver Woodward, and Dr. George Brainerd Todd performed John Wilkes Booth autopsy aboard the Montauk. And they performed the autopsy on April 27th, the day after. Dr. Barnes wrote the following account. This is from a website. "Sir, I have the honor to report that in compliance with your orders assisted by Dr. Woodward, I made at 2 p.m. this day a pulmonal examination of the body of J. Wilkes Booth lying on board the Montier Montauk off the Navy Yard. The left leg and foot were encased in an appliance of splints and bandages, upon the removal of which a fracture of the fibula, 3 inches above the ankle joint, accompanied by considerable, was discovered." This guy didn't even do the autopsy. Multiple others did the autopsy. And guess what he had? A broken leg. And John Wilkes Booth wrote in his diary that he broke his leg.
Yep.
And we know that he went to a doctor. I don't have his name. Shortly after he got across the bridge and had that doctor splint his leg, which that doctor was then convicted of co-conspirating and helping John Wilkes Booth. He broke his leg.
Yeah.
That doctor didn't do the autopsy.
The doctor that they claim in Unsolved Mystery did not actually do it.
Do it.
Yeah.
John Wilkes Booth was writing in his diary up until April 22nd. Only a few days before. So your claim that he hid out in the woods for days on end without all of his papers is a lie.
Yeah.
It's hogwash. It's garbage. Quit peddling this crap. It's completely annoying. And this is what I'm frustrated. These guys literally only took the parts that they wanted that reiterated their story. I did this, and I understand the internet was not around, but this stuff is just
Yeah, but these
common.
are history professors or historians. I saw it to me, and several of them have their doctorate's degree.
This is common.
This was not to me, this wasn't just some author who wanted to sell books. These are educated, highly educated men that are selecting their history and selecting their things and then not citing their sources and then also not telling the full story or giving the truth. They made it very clear that the person given the autopsy made several statements that this did not necessarily look like. But then we find you did one Google search and figured out that wasn't even correct.
And what I get frustrated.
I guess I just hold men of education at a higher standard.
We should.
Yeah.
I get frustrated because they present that this doctor's the only one that identified John Wilkes Booth. That wasn't true.
Yes.
At all.
Yeah.
They also say he did the autopsy. Not true.
Yeah.
Technically, I found that his own brother identified the body. It was way later. So I'm kind of like, what did the body look like? You know, it was a long time later, but like his own family did.
Yeah.
Like this conspiracy today is a laughing stock.
It has literally no merit to it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Nothing.
No one believes this conspiracy anymore.
Yeah.
It's an absolute laughing stock. And anyone that does, I laugh at you. It's embarrassing.
You're the problem.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's my frustration. And I have so much more frustrations. Like I had a frustration with that guy coming on. So I started trying to think. The guy that came out that was then hanged gave a 40-page sworn affidavit and mentioned John Wilkes Booth 10 times. And this historian's counter argument to it is, well, he changed his story. Where's the other account?
Yeah.
So the written affidavit is not, you completely throw that away as fact and you come up with this conspiracy that, hey,
you're also pulling other sworn affidavits that you want to listen to select pieces of information and ignore other pieces. I mean, it's cherry picking 101.
Absolutely. And I was so dumbfounded that
How do people like that get a doctorate degree?
Here's a sworn affidavit by a guy who signed it and said it.
Yeah.
And you're telling me, I believe 100 and something years ago, he was under distress and he was being threatened. Even though I have no writings that happened, I just think that that's what happened. So now I can throw that affidavit to the side and I don't have to listen to it.
Yeah.
And now I can continue on with my BS story.
Yeah.
And write whatever history I want. Holy crap. How are you an educator?
Yeah.
Disgusting.
I agree.
I'll leave it there. I am so irritated. You know how I feel about history.
I know how you feel about history. I know you do. And I know that you love like Abraham Lincoln in this whole time period. Well, yeah.
And this is the other thing. Like I've listened to podcasts, I've read books. Like this is something I don't feel like. I'm like, what are we doing? You
feel like you have enough information that you can hold a conversation about this time period. And so for the fact that you are even like with what information that you have acquired through reading and different ways of studying, you do not understand how men that are highly educated.
I just don't understand how this is peddled.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I'm really frustrated with Unsolved Mysteries that they would, all it took was for them to pick up one book and read and say, dude, this story, like, how can we even air this story?
Yeah.
This was Unsolved Mysteries, hands down, peddling a BS conspiracy, and they knew it.
Yeah.
And they were okay with it. And that's just absolutely ridiculous. Like, you know what? I'll give you what the Billy the Kid one.
Yeah.
I still thought it was BS, but I could see he's like, hey man, like this guy kind of came forward and he brought forth a lot of stuff. I still think it was BS, but
It had some weight to it.
I could just see, hey,
Yeah.
this is a fun story to tell.
Yeah.
This one, it's disgusting that you would even peddle it on national television because there's zero. You might have a few things, but the other side completely blows it out of the water.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's my end of my rant.
Okay. All right. Are you ready to hear about Alex Cooper?
Dude, this story is wild.
Wild. So we get told at the top of this story that this is a missing person story. So 75-year-old Alex Cooper of Cranbrook, British Columbia, We're up north, don't you know?
Yay.
Was an accomplished musician, a much-loved husband and family man, had 5 children, several grandchildren, and was a local businessman who worked in the cleaning industry from 1974 to 1983. So only 10 years. And in 1986, he took a job as a salesman and began to spend some of his time on the road. On the morning of April 4th, 1987, Alex's daughter and son-in-law had left Cranbrook to go shopping. After driving across the bridge, Pete, the son-in-law, saw his father-in-law's car parked on the side of the road.
What are the chances?
That is crazy.
Unless it's like a small area.
I would say, yeah, I guess growing up in Myrtle Creek, if I was driving through anywhere in Douglas County, the chances of me spotting someone's car I knew on the side of the road is actually not uncommon. In fact, my entire life growing up, if we saw a car broke down on the side of the road, even the interstate, we would slow down because if you were driving to Myrtle Creek, it's possible that we knew you and we'd pull over and help.
Yeah. And I made that's true.
Yeah. So they decide, obviously, he sees his father-in-law's car. He's got his wife with him. So we've got a whole like family reunion taking place. So they decide to stop and talk to him. They pull over, walk. No one's in the car, but they're by a river, right? We just crossed the bridge. So they assume maybe he walked down to the river, the bank of the river, because they assumed that he might be fishing.
He loved fishing.
He loved fishing. However, when they got there, they see no trace of her father. And Leah becomes concerned because he had a known heart condition. She called her mother, Margaret, who said that she had not seen him in over 24 hours. They contacted several hospitals, but he had not checked in at any of them and called the police to report him missing. Authorities are quickly on the scene and find no footprints or any evidence in or around Alex's car. It was locked, and there was clothing and fishing equipment inside, and an extensive search at that point ensues, right? Including air and land. No traces of this man are found. Authorities and his family soon learn that on the day of his disappearance, he had eaten lunch at a restaurant less than a mile from where his car was found. His wife, Margaret, notes that he kept a large amount of cash on him in like a giant roll. And she was worried that is it possible while he was at the restaurant, he peeled off some money from this, someone else noticed it, he's alone, he's an older man, and decided to rob him, and something had happened.
That's fair.
The other scenario that they're concerned about is this, at least on the reenactment, this was a pretty hefty river. This was not like a little creek.
Yeah.
It was a swift moving river.
It was moving pretty good.
Yeah.
At least how they're filming it.
Yeah.
I'm going to guess that was the same river.
And so The other question is did he go down to the river to scope it out and see if there was a place to fish and have a heart attack?
Fall in, have an
Again,
accident.
another reenactment win. You guys, no kidding. I am watching this, and there is a man, an older man. We got a far. Okay, just everyone imagine, picture this.
Picture this.
There's a beautiful river surrounded by luscious green grass. We got rolling like rocks with the water rolling over a beautiful bank of the river, right? We got mountains in the background, pine trees and fir trees for days. And you see this man coming down, down to the riverbank from higher up, on the road. He comes down. He's standing on the edge of the riverbank, maybe on a rock, right? Looking over this beautiful, swift moving blue and white foamy water. When all of a sudden, he clutches his chest.
And falls in.
You guys, the reenactment then falls to his knees.
I think he just toppled in.
And topples into the water.
This is a one-take wonder. You can only take this once because and that water had to be cold. It probably wasn't very warm. And he's probably like, listen, I'm doing this once. Doesn't work. You're on your own.
Yeah, I was thoroughly impressed with the commitment level of this reenactment actor.
He really went in. He went in the water.
He was a local thespian at the community theater. He has played Scrooge or Marley many of times, and he is ready to go.
He was in it.
He was in it. Okay, so check that out if you can, because it was awesome. But so is that the other scenario that had happened? This man has a heart attack on the edge of the river and is swept quickly off to who knows where.
We don't know what happened.
So newspaper reports and television broadcasts clearly very quickly pick this up. Witness came forward as a result, and they said they had seen a man matching his description hitchhiking in the area. Authorities suspect that, is it possible this man left voluntarily? His family, though,
doesn't seem likely.
No. I mean, if you were Occam's razor, is the more likely of these two scenarios is the other two issues.
I will tell you.
And his family is like, they have pictures of this man. He is a very involved grandfather. He's been married. 38 years. He's very close with his children. Like the family is interviewed and they are like, absolutely not.
Okay. I'm telling people this right now. If this was the story, it ended here. He is missing. I would where I would go is he was either murdered or something happened.
You'd be looking for a body.
And I would say something terrible happened to this man. And I would be committed to that.
Well, and he also left his heart medications, credit cards, like everything. All of the things that we look
tackle
for.
Box is in the front seat.
Yeah.
So you would say, listen, this guy was not set up to go anywhere.
Yep. So
and I would be wrong. Just
a year later, without any word from him, the wife, Margaret, at this point petitions the Supreme Court of British Columbia to have him declared legally dead.
Okay.
And I will say, so I don't know how this was shot exactly, but we get the family later. Like we get the family when this seems to first happened. And then we get the family interviewed slightly later talking about, and you see that they are crushed and heartbroken. That they're having to go through this process of declaring this man legally dead. They don't have any answers.
And I don't know if like that just means it opens up for more possibilities of investigation.
I don't know. A lot of the times, if there was a pension or anything, a lot of that stuff, or if there was a life insurance, any of that you can't have, right? Until someone's declared legally dead.
That's right.
And sometimes then the life insurance gets involved and they'll hire private investigators, which if you are innocent of any crimes, you might say, I want this man declared legally dead. So then more eyes are looking into what happened here, right?
Absolutely.
So Margaret tries to, several months later, acquire Alex's birth certificate. But this is where things get weird because she discovers that there's never one issued under her husband's name, her now deceased husband's name, legally deceased husband. She can also find 0 records of this man's existence prior to 1952. No high school transcripts, no military records, no medical history. Nothing can be found
And
of
that was
this
only
man.
what, like a couple years before they were married.
It was
right?
right before they got married,
Yeah.
like a year.
Okay.
His family is shocked to realize that Alex is not even his name and that
He doesn't exist.
he doesn't exist. And these people are having to mourn the loss of this man and realizing that the human being that had been an integral part of their life was living a lie,
Or it appears.
or appears to have lived a lie. For 4 years, this family is living this nightmare, a state of uncertainty. Then, May 27th, 1991, halfway across the country in Toronto, another man is reported missing. He was also a traveling salesman by the name of, quote, David Copper.
David Copperfield?
No, David Cooper.
Koopa.
Cooper.
DB Cooper? Could he have been?
That's...
You seriously?
That is...
No.
Yes, you stole my
outta here.
thunder.
Get out of here.
I really think that this man could be DB Cooper.
No.
Yes.
No. All right. Kill.
He has military service, and if you blind the pictures up next to each other, I put them side by side to each other this afternoon, and they look remarkably similar to the sketch.
Okay. Just finish telling the story of Unsolved Mysteries. A man is reported missing by the name of David
DB Cooper, who strikes a
Not
barely
DB,
resemblance to an FBI sketch.
David Cooper.
David Cooper
Toronto.
in Toronto, which is not that far from where? How far is Toronto from
I
Seattle?
don't think it's close.
It's close enough.
I don't think so.
All right, so he bears a striking resemblance to another man who at one point was reported missing named Alex. He had lived in a boarding house in Toronto for approximately a year. He sold meat products to families over the phone. During one of his business trips, a friend reported him missing. When he searched through his room, authorities found a photograph of Alex holding his grandchildren and confirmed that that was the same man claiming to be David Cooper. Alex Cooper and David Cooper are the same individual.
Yeah, they find a picture of him.
Could he also potentially have hijacked an airplane on Thanksgiving Day?
Toronto is 2,600 miles.
Okay, that is actually quite a ways.
Yeah. It's on the other side of the country.
It is. Okay, yes. Sorry. I guess I was getting Toronto's on the East Coast. So where he was originally from is closer.
Where was he from originally?
Mm-hmm.
Ontario?
No. Let me... Canebrook or Cranebrook. C-R-A-N.
Hold on. Cranebrook?
Mm-hmm.
C-R-A...
N.
British Columbia. That is way closer. Kind of.
Maybe he did it right after he walked away from his family because he needed money to start his new life.
Cranebrook is just above Montana.
Yeah, not far. And where did B.D. Cooper end up jumping?
D.B. Cooper did it in the 70s. All right, we will talk about this after.
Okay. All right, now I got to get back into my notes where I was. Okay.
So the guy's reported missing at a halfway house. Police show up, find pictures, and it is pictures of
Alex Cooper.
The
man who went missing 4 years ago and was declared legally dead. Yep.
Shows up.
Like a ghost.
All the way across Canada. In a halfway house.
Yeah, with a tie from JCPenney's and a parachute. And a attaché full of cash. No, that part is speculation on my part. So May 29th, 1991, David/Alex returns home to the boarding house he'd been living at from a business trip and tries to go back to his room. And instantly his stomach drops out and he needs to poop his pants because he's realizing that there is evidence that the police have been there because they dusted for fingerprints and he knows what that means.
Police are about to find out who this guy is.
Exactly. So he rushes downstairs after he changes his pants and asks the landlady about what was happening. And she's like, "Excuse me, sir, you were reported missing." And he like gets after her in the reenactment. She's like,
Who reported me missing?
she's like, "Chill, not me. Your friend had been looking for you. You were supposed to be home days ago." But by this time, the police returned to the boarding house, or by the time he had vanished once again, he ran back up the stairs, packed up his bags, and he was out of there. So we're looking for this man again. Here we are. The family's re-interviewed. They are now being told,
back up.
"Hey, you know that guy that you thought was dead and gone and never knew?
Had a heart attack and fell in the river.
We found him. He's living across the country in a boarding house selling meat packaging products over the phone or something."
Salesman.
Yeah. But we lost him again. He slipped through our fingers. And so that's where Unsolved Mystery leaves us. They want to know, where is this guy?
Who is this guy?
Yeah.
And why is he running?
Yeah.
After 40 years of raising a family and grandkids,
is done.
Just decided, peace. I'm going to go live in boarding houses on the other side of the country.
Yeah.
All right, update.
Solved.
Yeah.
Yeah. A viewer from Hamilton, Canada recognized Alex and contacted authorities January 10th, 1992. So almost like a year later, he's located again, and he, at this point, is brought into the police station and tells the police that his real name is actually like Albern Alnersnot. That's not it.
Wow. Try it again.
Arsenault. Arsenault. That's a mouthful. Okay. And in 1948, when he was only 26 years old, he's falsely accused, according to him. This is a single side narrative of a man who also yeeted out on his family and didn't really seem to think anything of it when life got a little too crazy. Claims that he's falsely accused of robbing an office inside the Union Pacific Railroad where he was employed at the time. He did not want to be arrested for the crime that he claims he did not commit, so he runs away. Changes his name to Alex Cooper.
Innocent people do.
To avoid capture, and in turn also marries Margaret.
So this guy is claiming he didn't commit this crime. So to avoid the crime that he didn't commit,
changes his name
and starts a whole new life.
And gets married.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Keep going.
He had no idea that the likelihood was that any criminal charges against him at that point had likely been dropped or ran their course. From my understanding, they say statute of limitations on Unsolved Mysteries. I looked it up. I don't think Canada has a statute of limitations, but
I don't know.
Whatever.
Justice system.
We don't know anything about the supposed crime.
If the guy came forward in the 80s and said, "Hey, man, the police are not looking for a guy that robbed
and also I got an attaché full of cash, so I can make it good on whatever problem we had back then." For more than 30 years, Alex's true identity remained a secret. When his 65th birthday arrived, he was told that in order to collect on his retirement, he would need to submit a birth certificate in order to receive a pension. Unfortunately, since he had a fake identity, he lacked a birth certificate. And
So
he
you're telling, all right, keep going. Keep going. I'm going to ask you a
he
question.
could not bring himself to tell his family that he had been lying about his identity, so he decided instead it would just be easier to disappear.
There lies
The crux.
what?
Yeah.
There lies the what of the critical thinking.
Mm-hmm.
This man
Mm-hmm.
who's been living a lie, but in the end, this is who he is now, right?
Yeah.
30, like almost 40 years he's been married.
He lived
and
more as this man than he ever did as the other.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And he gets to this point where he says,
The moment this was, yeah.
he gets to this point where he says, I need a birth certificate.
You didn't think about faking a document?
And that's the solution you come up with
Yeah.
is I'm going to run away.
And abandon my family.
You didn't think maybe I could find a false one?
Yeah.
Maybe I could pay someone to come up with a fake one? I'm not condoning that behavior, people. I'm just saying
Mm-hmm.
I'm concerned about his critical thinking skills.
Or just saying I changed my name and forgot to fill out the paperwork. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of things you could have done before you could have said that.
Before you got to abandonment?
Yeah. And I've got some thoughts on that.
All right, keep going.
So 2 days after he was questioned by the police, Alex is returned to British Columbia where he's reunited with his family.
That had to be awkward.
And they accept him with open arms, which is bananas.
What do you do, though?
I hold grudges apparently because I would have some major issues. But again, this was pre-therapy. I don't think people thought that like therapy existed at this point. I don't. The wife takes him back. Ben, I love you to the moon, but you put me through that. Why would I? What? No.
I don't know. I don't understand any of this story.
No.
It is wild.
Mm-hmm.
Wild.
Yeah. His wife passes away only a few years later in 1996.
Probably because of all the thing that he put her through.
Exactly. And then he went on to live until 2007.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He had all that money.
No, he didn't. He is not DB Cooper.
Possible. He lies about his identity. And he's every time kept the same last name. I mean, that says something right there.
He's not DB Cooper.
But what if he is?
But he's not. All right.
Anyways, okay, here's my thoughts.
So that's the end of the story.
That's the end of the story.
The man just literally ran away for no reason and no reason whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. He got farther than I did when I tried to run away from home because I was mad about something.
So wild.
The level of diabolic behavior or potentially narcissism or something that you cannot empathize with what you're about to put your family through, to me, is insane.
I also have questions of...
Or accepted coming back and just everyone welcoming you back with open...
I don't know if they welcomed him back. I think on TV it looked like it, but he even
he's interviewed post being caught.
He pretty much says yeah, I screwed up.
Yeah, it sounds like he's saying a line.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What?
This was, I'll be honest, that was the last thing I was expecting. So when they tell us that
this was like M. Night Shyamalan wrote a episode of Unsolved Mystery because this was nuts.
When they tell us that someone was believed to be him 4 years later at a boarding house on the other side of the country, my first thought was, no way. No, he wasn't.
Well, because how many missing person cases have we covered and someone claims that they are in a homeless shelter or something across the country or whatever?
I will say this story is going to make me go from the here on out.
Yeah.
But this is definitely the exception, not the rule.
Mm-hmm. The only thing that was missing is that he didn't claim that he fell and hit his head and got amnesia.
Yeah. But when he told us why he ran away.
Oh, I was expecting 1,000 other things before it was that.
I was afraid I couldn't
But
get a
here's the
birth
thing
certificate.
also, we are being fed this by a liar.
I
Do
understand.
you think that there's possible that there is something in his past that was far more diabolical that he did that he
Well,
was running away from?
I guess that is the part that doesn't make sense. Is you're telling me that you assumed another identity over a robbery?
And not even like, it sounds like charges were never filed, just that he was like being falsely accused of it or falsely even like potentially investigated
I
over
don't know.
it.
This story blew my mind and I didn't know where to think or where to go. I got no thoughts on it and I'm so confused.
Because if you wrote this in a book or in a movie, it is stranger than fiction. And the fact that you would be like, that doesn't happen.
If you wrote this down and someone read it,
yeah.
they would say, if they read the story, like let's say it was a short story,
Yeah.
read it in your English class, you would say, that's such an unrealistic story.
Yes.
And you would think it was a garbage story.
Because of that element.
Because it's so unrealistic and stupid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No one runs away because they couldn't get their birth certificate.
And no one changes their complete identity in their life over a false accusation over a robbery.
Yeah.
So the question is, what, there's clearly more to this story.
There has to be.
So, but yes, wild.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you guys, that is it. That is our recap of season 4, episode 2. That was kind of a wild journey. We had.
I apologize to everyone. I talked way more and got
we had
way too heated.
Couple giggers. We had
this episode.
A riveting storytelling of why Ben thinks that John Wilkes Booth died on the day that the encyclopedia tells us that he did.
I don't think I know.
I know. And then I got to tell you of the most insane missing persons case that maybe possibly could also solve one of America's most long-standing hijacking case.
No.
Plane hijacking. Plane jacking.
No.
Jacking of the sky.
Nope.
Skyjacking?
No.
No, Ben, I was doing this research and stuff. I was just like, this guy cannot let the name Cooper go. And like I was just like, and I looked up the drawing of the FBI. But here's the thing: the drawing of the FBI just looks like any old white guy or older,
like a white guy with sunglasses on.
I was like, this looks just like.
You could take any picture of a skinny white guy and put sunglasses on him, and he looks like.
I know, but because it's never been solved, here we go, right? And we don't know anything about this man's past because he changed his identity in his 20s. He could have had maybe in Vietnam, he was a helicopter jumping thing guy. What are those things? A parachuter.
That would have been after. He would have been married.
He said he had military service, I think.
World War II?
World War II. Yeah, that's what I meant. Maybe. Could have been. That's what we know.
I'm done talking about this guy. This guy deserves no other time of my life.
Okay. Well, for those of you guys that would like to stick around for silly questions and chitty chat time, please get comfy in whatever sweatpants you've had on for several days. And for the rest of you guys, feel free to exit stage left. Okay, Ben, here is your question. It's a good one for you. If you could be any mythical creature, what would it be?
What?
Yeah, mythical creature.
Any mythical creature?
Mythical creature. Do you need me to give you a list of mythical creatures?
A dragon.
I think dragons are real, though. I don't think that counts as a mythical creature.
They're not real.
I think they are.
No, they're not.
I think they are. I think at one point dragons, I just think they're extinct.
Oh,
I did say extinct animals.
Dragons are not real.
Ben, how is it that across the span of history, we have civilizations that have writings about dragons that had no interactions with each other?
No, that's not true.
It is true 100%.
No, dragons are mythical. I'm not having this debate with you. I'm not having this debate with you.
Okay.
You asked me a question. My answer is dragons.
Okay, you would be a
Breathe
dragon.
fire and fly.
And
You're ginormous, so you can crush anything.
Mm-hmm.
And you still have thumbs.
Opposable thumbs.
Yeah.
Do you want to know what creature I picked for you in my mind?
I can't wait.
A centaur. I mean, of course, some of the books I've been reading, you could be an elf or like a fairy from the fairy kingdoms, but that's a whole nother.
That's weird.
I know, but the books are so good.
No, I don't want to know whatever book.
There is a book about dragons, but it's more about dragon trainers. You could be a dragon trainer.
No, you asked me what creature I am. That's what I picked.
Okay.
And they're not real.
I agree to disagree. So I don't think centaurs are real.
Okay.
Well, I don't know, man.
There it is.
Okay.
What's yours?
A mermaid, obviously.
Obviously.
Yeah. A siren to come
real.
up to the surface of the water and lure men to their deaths just because of the way I can sing, and I'm beautiful enough to make men think if I get into the water with that girl, she's coming home with me, and then I drowned you.
That's kind of dark, don't you think?
Yeah, mermaids are creepy creatures. They're not
According
like
to some stories.
not Disney. Or Disney is not correct on how they tell the story about mermaids. If you look at the writings about mermaids, they are like
You realize
mythical creatures that are like
if you're
sirens.
a mythical creature, anyone can write who you are then.
But maybe at one point mermaids existed.
Okay. I'm just saying, if you're a mythical creature, who then has the right to say this is who they are and how they are at all times? I'm just telling
you, they are typically written like that they are a little bit...
Well, I'm saying if I write them, that's
a little bit dangerous, but so are dragons. It's not like they're Pete's dragon and they're in the forest of Oregon.
They could be.
Saving little boys.
They could be.
No.
If the story writer wants to write it that way, then
what kind of dragon would you be? Pete's dragon or the horde dragon of like Gollum or something?
Pete's dragon, dude.
You're just hanging out in the Oregon forest?
It's just people think I'm a terrible person.
No one thinks you're a terrible person.
I like to be a good person in the world. All right? I like to stand up for good things. So if I'm a dragon, I am being a good dragon.
Okay, you are going to be a good dragon.
I just don't want to see people or associate with
That's
them.
what you like about the dragons. They're solitary creatures.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But when I have to come out and do good, I will.
Okay.
And then I go back to my lair.
Okay.
You want to murder people in the water. Men, only men.
Just men.
Just men.
Well, and mermaids are beautiful and they're sparkly. And if not, then if I have to be a land creature, then I want to be a unicorn or a fairy. But fairies are also kind of got a bad rap too. Changelings, oof, that gets complicated very quickly.
I don't even know what that is. I don't even know what you just said.
Anyways, all right. Well, you can be a dragon and I will be a mermaid. So we're fire and water. Once again, the complete opposites. And on that note, Ben and I will be excited to have you guys back again next week when we recap another episode of
Unsolved Mysteries.
Bye.